Alright everyone, we start off today with the debunking of the January 6th insurrection lie. The big lie is that Trump was trying to overthrow the government in a coup. He lost, and of course he's big orange poopy baby, and so he wanted to use violence to try to force the hand of the establishment in order to remain in power as a dictator. The problem being we already have plenty of evidence against this. For instance, Donald Trump's speech in the lead up to what ended up devolving into a riot there encouraged peaceful marching. It never called for people to take up arms or storm the Bastille or anything like that. That's number one. Number two, of course, Trump calling for calm thereafter. And number three, the total lack of any evidence of any collusion by Trump or his inside circle on that day or prior to actually cause violence. But now we have something that's even better. Naturally, this will not be entered in as evidence, and I say that in the loosest way when we're talking about a committee that has Liz Cheney on it. You remember who her daddy is. Liberals have entirely forgotten about that whole invasion of Iraq thing. It's inconvenient for them to mention who Liz Cheney's daddy is in coordination with their witch hunt, which is the January 6th hoax committee's main point. It's basically like the witch trials. They're not going to enter this one into evidence. I'm going to read some of this verbatim. There is a memo that we have. Goodness. In it, the IG recounts a fateful meeting on January 3rd, 2021, so this is a few days before January 6th, in the White House when then-acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller and General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, met with Trump on national security matters. The complete passage, hardly mentioned by Democrats at the hearings or the news media covering them, is worth absorbing in its entirety. Mr. Miller and General Milley met with the President of the White House at 5:30 p.m., the IG reported. The primary topic they discussed was unrelated to the scheduled rally. General Milley told us that in the end of the meeting, the President told Mr. Miller there would be a large number of protesters on January 6, 2021, and Mr. Miller should ensure sufficient National Guard or soldiers would be there to make sure it was a safe event. General Milley told us that Mr. Miller responded, "We've got a plan and we've got it covered." So, assuming there was any breakdown in the methodology of how this was handled, would that not make Miller responsible instead of Donald Trump? "Oh, we got it covered, Mr. President. Everything's perfectly fine." I can almost imagine it right now that people that were working for Trump that didn't actually really like him allowed the rioting to occur because the troops were on standby. In fact, they were formally requested on January 4th, literally the next day, by the Capitol Police. And the sergeant-at-arms there turned them down and said, well, that would be bad optics to have a bunch of National Guardsmen standing around the Capitol Mall. So effectively what we've got is not an insurrection attempt. It's a lack of attempting to prevent a riot from occurring. It didn't involve Trump. It didn't involve Steve Bannon, another ever-present boogeyman who now faces a short jail stint, possibly, assuming that the appeal doesn't work. I think that it will, actually, and he'll drag it out in court. He's got the money and the clout to do it, too. So I don't expect him to be off the campaign mid-trail long before the midterms. It's going to be interesting because he is now instrumental in overwhelming non-MAGA precinct captains and things like that. Bannon is the local-level strategist. He's got all the small-town shit locked down. That's why the left is so afraid of him, and that's why they want him to be in a jail cell, so they can have a couple of months reprieve from him overhauling all the neocons and cuffing them and shoving them aside. He's doing a really good work. By the way, he's still definitely on board with Trump. We'll be talking about Ted Cruz later, actually, too. I would never vote for the bastard, but he has a few positive things to say, and it's very interesting, if entirely self-serving. This memo explodes the entire argument with regards to attempting to imprison or at least charge Donald Trump for insurrection, fomenting violence, attempted coup, and all of these other buzz terms, none of which really apply to January 6th. You'll remember, this was a fiery but literally mostly peaceful protest. Protesters were allowed into the Capitol building. They were waved in by security and by politicians alike who had every right to be there. They were not impeded. Some people have had their charges dropped specifically because of this if they did nothing else while they were in the building, or if they were just outside but they didn't visibly take part in any actual rioting. Thousands of people were involved here. Not all of them even have active charges against them. including some that may glow in the dark, but we'll leave that alone for the moment. You should definitely join me on some combination of new tech, links down below if you're watching on YouTube, pinned in a comment, of course, because I did cover that particular EP's story some days ago. Can't probably cover it on YouTube. Not sure that it conforms to their ever more draconian TOS. Apparently abortion disinfo is now banned on the platform too. I have no idea what that fucking pertains to. What are you talking about? You talking about the Veritas release there with regards to Planned Parenthood? Yeah, I bet you are. So this memo is very, very important. It's not very long. There's actually a PDF download of the memo itself on this link, so take the link in the description and read it for yourself. Read the article if you want to analyze it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. That's going to be one of my new catch lines. I think that it's a good idea to do your own work. So again, Miller responded. When queried about Trump having concerns over the number of protesters that would be there, he had to have known it would be at least in the many thousands. And that's even beyond just the people hearing him speak. He had like 20, 25,000 people there. Several thousand branched off and went to the Capitol. He was told, we've got a plan and we have it covered. This is according to General Milley himself. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, I'm assuming that Donald Trump just took his word for it. If Donald Trump can be implicated in goddamn anything in this, it's not pushing the issue further and querying, I guess, the sergeant at arms or something and saying, hey, the next day, a couple days before I've got to give this major speech, why aren't you allowing the National Guard to patrol the streets to make sure there's no chaos or problems? If that had happened, there wouldn't have been any riot at the Capitol. It would have been guarded by soldiers. Well, a problem would have been solved now, wouldn't it? It's sort of like when the Democrats denied extra police to the Supreme Court there in the wake of the Roe decision. No, that's not really necessary, but we will allow extra guards to go and follow around the family members of the SCOTUS members because secretly they wanted them to be killed. You know, like Kavanaugh was almost assassinated. Nancy Pelosi was probably just upset that that didn't happen on that particular day. This memo is extremely important. Since it's so important, you're not going to see it talked about on CNN or Fox News, for that matter. I don't think that they've covered this. I may be wrong. You can fact check me right now if you want to. I didn't see a goddamn story on their page about this. You say you're not going to see it on MSNBC. MSNBC would just say, well, Miller and Milley, they're known to be liars. Yeah, they're being called for testimony by the J6 committee, but on this particular topic, there has to be something wrong because it doesn't conform to Orange Man bad. Orange Man insurrectionist, Orange Man coup attempt. Why are they gunning so hard, by the way, through this committee, to the point where leftists right now are throwing Merrick Garland under the bus despite having formerly said that they were outraged he wasn't on the Supreme Court? By the way, I'm going to be talking about that. It's one of the three big topics I'll be covering in today's live stream. Yes, I will do a live stream probably at about the same time today. Merrick Garland has fallen out of grace because he didn't immediately rubber stamp an indictment of Donald Trump without any evidence to indict. If Trump were indicted today for sedition or coup attempt, well, whatever they want to charge him with, he would take this memo, he would print it out, he would show up, he would enter it into evidence, flash it around, and do the normal Trump thing, and then he'd fucking walk out free the next goddamn day. Because this indicates a 100% chance that he never fomented violence. This is a conversation involving people that aren't completely on board with the MAGA thing, and have partially thrown Trump under the bus thereafter. They're corroborating the fact that he was assured by the security staff, he was assured everything would be fine. Now, don't worry, we've got a plan. We'll handle it. Well, it looks like they failed now, didn't they? Thankfully, it didn't actually lead to an insurrection, though. It led to a riot, and the Democrats were secretly very happy about this, because AOC pretending to cower in the next building and have flashbacks about being sexually assaulted and stuff, she was actually very, very happy when they saw that they were waving MAGA and U.S. flags and that it wasn't Antifa that was rioting, because then they got this freebie so they could start the J6 Hoax Committee. That's about all. Peace out.